Hello, welcome, and everybody. Today we're going to talk about security and stability with Onlive. My name's Gary, and today we're going to be with the CEO of Onlive.io. So, welcome, Jonathan. Hey,
Thank you,
Jonathan.
Garrett. Thank you. Pleasure being on again.
Awesome, and I'm glad that you're here with me today, Jonathan. And how is everything, COVID-wise, and everything?
Everything is good, thank you, with myself, family, and team. So looking forward to ending on a high note for Christmas and a little bit of a Christmas break. It's been a hectic year.
I'm glad
Yourself?
to hear that. So here it's pretty much flooding, to be honest with you, especially rain, and it's really cold. Like imagine this: Malta has been in drought for many years in terms of dryness and drought, and all of a sudden it seems like God turned on the waterworks all in just 1 week, literally all of those years in just 1 week. So it's yeah, it's kind of like
It
that.
happens. It happens. It's a season.
Yep, and Jonathan. So today we're going to talk about security on live, especially when it comes to medium enterprises and enterprises themselves. So, Jonathan, we have some questions here from last time, and we have some questions that we also have people that ask us daily. So, when it comes to on live itself, many companies do their own internal stand-ups. How does shared networks, when all of the audience, they have all of the shared networks of the corporate security, is there something that they need to do on their sides to make sure that there's no technical issues with their network, with OnLive, or is there something that OnLive needs to do on their end?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and everyone who has worked with larger enterprise knows that infosec or DevOps teams, the security can be a little bit of a challenge to get everything approved. And I think for using our studio, they need to first and foremost open up port 443, 443. That port needs to be open in order for us to be able to send the video feed and through over the network, like we are doing now. They also should look into maybe whitelisting the domains that are being used. So if you're using one of our vanity URLs, that would be onlive.events, as well as our email address. So make sure that the magic links can be reached. So that would be needed. And if you're using a custom domain, they will obviously need to whitelist this custom domain as well, and the IP behind the email. That is something that you can retrieve from the support. They will be
Mhm.
happy to share that with you, so that the IP address of predominantly the email can be whitelisted. And especially if you're doing an internal stand up, like you said, there's a lot of emails going to this with similar content going to the entire organization, which is by the eyes of sort of a firewall looking a bit suspicious, that why is this external sender trying to reach everyone within the organization with similar looking content. So definitely whitelist the domains and the IP address, as well as make sure that port 443 would be open.
I understand. So essentially, when the technical team does all this, they won't have issues with their microphone, camera, sound, and anything they have to function within on live, right?
Correct. That's for the video communication. Then, of course, if you're using OS X, you need to enable screen sharing and go
Mhm.
into the settings of the operating system, and give access to Chrome to allow for screen sharing. They made it a bit more complicated these days, but that is a requirement.
I understand. Okay, then. And what can you tell me about SOC tools, type one attested, system and organization controls that you have on live?
So SOC 2 is sort of an overarching control that measures not only servers, not only infrastructure. It goes into sort of the way we work. It monitors our communication on Slack. It makes sure that we are having MFA, multi-factor authentication on all of our own internal tools. It makes sure that our employees have antivirus, that they have encrypted hard drives, and it's looking at some 160 controls for the company. And it's a little bit different from maybe a penetration test that
Mm.
you do maybe once a year. The SOC 2 is there throughout all times. So it monitors us consistently to make sure that our infrastructure, everything on AWS, everything on a Google account, everything on Slack and so forth, is up to the standard that is specified by the auditing body. So it's a comprehensive test, and I guess it's the highest within our industry. And I would argue that it's more applicable for software firms to go for a SOC 2 rather than an ISO 27K, which is maybe a little bit uh, agnostic, more broad in that sense.
Alright, I understand. And when it comes to, I don't know if you remember this term, it was very popular when COVID started, Zoom bombing. When I think you know it's about just in case. Zoom bombing essentially is when you go inside of Zoom and essentially someone else, literally you don't know about them, they come into side of your Zoom and they used to like do harassment, pornographic images, and so on and so on. How do you and how would you tell your the attendees and also the event hosts that such a thing won't happen on live?
We are much more of an enclosed space, I guess, because you can gate your registration page. You can set that to be invite only, and then or password protected. Then the attendee would sign up, get access to their magic link, and log in. Change their password on the first login. So you sort of have more layers to make sure that the attendee is actually the intended recipient of your audience. So those sort of layers can be enabled if you wish. Then, when it comes to going on camera and so forth, it would be you as the host that controls on who goes on camera. So if someone from the audience requests for microphone, they justify the reason, and you can add them into the stream or remove them from the stream. So we are a little bit more of an enclosed space rather than the Zoom that in the early days allowed for anyone with sort of guessing the link to be able to join. And I think that was the sort of um, the problem for them, and then they added in the passwords and all of that.
Mm, I understand. And before we go into our next question, guys, if you have any questions that we can answer today or for the next stream, you can get one free team seat inside of your account. So do please send a question, and it will be up on side of the stream. If just in case, if it's not going to be answered inside of the stream, it will be for the next one. And I'm going to leave this ticker down here. um, okay, then, Jonathan. So when it comes to SAML or SSO, essentially, for those enterprises that want to have their own direct custom, social login, do you provide that? And what is the technicality to set that up?
So we have done an integration with Okta. That's the platform that we used for setting that up, and we can connect that their identity manager with Okta so that they can manage who has access to the system from uh, from their central location, and they would have to reach out to us, and they would need to be on sort of an enterprise plan for that to be possible, and then we would help connect that so that all of that is handled from there. In addition, our normal accounts can enforce MFA, so you can enforce two-factor authentication for anyone inside of your team. so that if you want to use SAML or SSO, you could still run with our standard account handling and enforce MFA for all of your users.
Okay, and just to make sure, this can enable me. So, say for example, I have an external site of my own, or another software that I like to pair up with OnLive. Does that mean that I can have my attendees sign from that site to, and then they come into, OnLive?
No, this would be only for the admin accounts, not for the
Mhm.
end user, just to clarify.
I understand. And in the future, if enough people would ask for, to have for their own end users, would you be able to do that?
Um, I wouldn't say no because there has been the case that customers come to us and they ask to sign in with an OAuth sort of login, similar to how people have used login with Google or Facebook, right? So we would be open to that, I guess. So far, there haven't been anyone who has required it, but
Mhm.
absolutely open to it because it takes away a lot of the friction of signing up. So hopefully that's something that we can all reduce over time because it's nobody likes filling out the form if it can be avoided. That's my firm
I
opinion.
understand. And what kind of social logins are you letting? Is it Google only or?
So we're currently having a partnership with a company that does social media signups. So
Mhm.
with that partnership, if customers procure that platform from them, they can sign in with Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. So I guess if we would go ahead with our own software within this space, we would probably be looking at least Google and LinkedIn maybe, as
Mhm.
those being that sort of the big ones.
Yeah, it makes sense for that. And we had a question last time as well. When it comes to virtual events turnout, so many people have this issue where physical versus virtual, many people go to physical, but virtual they do not. What would you recommend to help people? Let's start from here. What do you think is the issue why people don't go to virtual events much, and what you can do to bring them in essentially?
So starting from the problem, there might be several factors, but I guess content is one. Provide quality content. There is exclusive content for the virtual event that happens live and not on demand afterwards, because then I
Mhm.
can look at it afterwards. That is, I guess, content is always king. Then it's so easy to forget about a virtual event. If I go to an event, I book a flight ticket to go somewhere, I'm not going to forget about it. So keep reminding them that you exist, keep reminding that the event is coming up, send those uh, drips of emails saying that the event is coming within 2 days. We added a headliner. Remember to be sort of communicative with your audience, so that they don't forget about the event. Secondly, I think incentivize the event, add in some sort of gamification aspect. We have a gamification aspect that allows attendees to accumulate points, give out some freebies, some swag, some whatever you can afford for the winners. Pull a name out of the audience hat that are commenting, sort of like we're doing now, to sort of simulate um, uh, engagement by and attendance by the audience.
All right. And when it comes to, so we've talked about security when it comes to virtual events. Now, when it comes to hybrid events within OnLive, is there some security aspects that we may need to think about when it comes to using, security with OnLive when it comes to hybrid physical?
Well, I mean, we have the check-in functionality, so you can run our iOS app and conduct guest check-in when they arrive. So make sure that people are actually eligible to enter the venue, enter the sessions, and so forth. So I guess that is used quite a lot to confirm that you are indeed attending or should be attending the event, especially for the more exclusive ones.
All right, I understand. And if it's okay with you, Jonathan, to share your screen, can you show us how stand-up can be done inside of OnLive, or at least like a small basic training when it comes to either classrooms or internal training?
Sure. Let's see.
Okay, I'm going to share your screen.
Sure. Um, so inside of our platform, we have again these demo properties, and if I would, one second, I need to move my camera for a second. Inside of the virtual platform, if I would go into the streaming studio and what's this in here? I think the first thing is to allow for raise hands on the session that you're setting up. That is the main functionality that inside of the virtual platform be allowed to raise your hand so that you can be on the microphone, sorry, in the studio on video during the sort of stand up or town hall type of event that you're running. I guess security is an aspect that you're looking for as well, Gareth, for that. Or okay, I think that's a yes. Um, and as mentioned before, if you want to have a closed event, you can set the exclusivity to be only your invitees, so that only the ones that have access, only have been invited, can access the event. And when I go to my event here, uh, it would then, instead of taking me directly to the registration page, it would prompt me for my email to log in or the generic password. Um, and again, when I book my sessions, if I have only one session, that's fine. I book my session when I enter into the streaming application. Where you can log in here. I would be then be able to go to my session and join live stream and ask for microphone so I can then be part of the town hall or also a training session and ask for microphone. So that would be sort of the steps in order to have the functionality that you were requesting, Gareth.
All right. I'm glad that this happens here, because otherwise there would be a lot of Zoom bombing, especially. I saw the attendee checker there. Would it be okay if we can go and try it out? If,
We can
if
absolutely do that. Let's see if I can stop my camera. Yes. We can absolutely do that. One second. And let's go here.
so, just to show a bit of how it looks like for those hybrid events for the attendee checker.
So for the attendee check-in, we can set up the check-in method if it's usually QR code to check in, but maybe there's a fallback method using ticket ID.
Uh,
You can then have that, and if you forgot your QR code, or you can do email address, that's probably better in most cases. You can design how this part looks like. You can sort of go in under design setting here and redesign it. If
mhm.
you have badging, you can select the printing method. We have Brother for simple label stickers. We have Zebra for more like the commercial grade or enterprise grade,
Uh,
heavy duty printers, mass volume trade shows, and so forth. And then we have Apple AirPrint as well, which is, I guess it's not really that useful because it's a bit too slow to
yeah.
do mass volume. But the Brothers and Zebra is definitely good options, both of them. One on the budget side, one on the more expensive side.
Just to
Um,
understand, apologies for cutting out. The printing means that I have to have these types of printers, or it's someone else doing the printing for me.
Correct. You would have to have them. We can when you use our application, you can select these printers as long as they are on the same Wi-Fi network. They would be identifiable, and you can pair them up directly with a
Oh,
check-in iPad. And if you
uh,
have multiple iPads, you pair them one by one, or maybe you pair two iPads with one printer. That's also absolutely possible,
uh-huh.
and then it would print out the badges.
Oh, just in case if I don't have those printers, is there a way for me to connect with them, or like download the PDFs and just download it from there, or like?
No, then it would be Apple Air Printer would be your other option for printing
Ah,
badges.
okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh, then there's a little printer settings. You can decide the format of the print.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, the attendance would be um, captured under our attendance reports when you
Mm-hmm.
have checked in people. You can also set permissions. So maybe you're using part timers or something like that on site and you don't want them to have access to the reports and the attendees. So then you
Mm-hmm.
can have a different password to access the reports. And again, this does not give them access to your dashboard and other things. But if you want to have access to who has been checked in, you have a, sort of like an additional admin password there. So that's sort of how this works, and yeah, you can check in tens of thousands of attendees using this and a bunch of iPads.
Sorry, can you say that again, please?
So you can check in tens of thousands of attendees
Mm.
with this software and a bunch of iPads and print
Uh,
on demand when people arrive.
and how many can on live can handle attendees when it comes to a single session?
Um, so check-in doesn't cause much load since it's just sending a 10-digit ID to the server. So it's basically not that much traffic going on at all, to be honest. But I think the largest events that we have done with check-in are around 10,000 attendees for check-in.
All right. That's good. Okay then, and for speaker security, you showed me that they can ask for the microphone. Does it do the same thing for the video, or?
No, so it's both. You give them access to both video and
For both?
microphone. But when it comes to speakers, there's a separate speaker link that is also password protected. So they will
Mhm.
have to use the password to log in.
And if just in case, let's say for example, there's a speaker who is not good, he harasses and so on, whatever. Is there a way to kick him out during the event, not before?
Yeah, you can remove him from stream and you can
Mhm.
block him from access to the virtual platform as well.
Okay, so that happens. And when it comes to blocking, does it block his email, or how does it work?
If they're a speaker, then you would just remove them from stream and they wouldn't be visible in the sort of what's being broadcasted. If you're
Mm,
removing them access from the virtual platform, you can remove their email address and they will immediately lose access to the event.
okay, I understand. Um, what do you think are the main issues when it comes to securities inside of virtual events, and that you think are that's going to happen in the near future?
I think again is probably on the customer data, so click jacking, all of those sort of things that we are the reason why companies are required to penetration test and all that. So I think the largest risk is losing customer data. Is the, the the one that is most worrisome for any sort of company, and that's why databases are encrypted, end-to-end traffic is encrypted. Well, should be in all cases, but we still see companies that are using user databases that are not encrypted, or passwords are in plain text and not salted and hashed, right? So I think that those are the largest concerns is by companies is their customer data being maybe lost, right? So that I think is still the most dangerous part when it comes to sort of unauthorized access to the event. It's relatively minor in comparison, like in risk factor, compared to if someone would be able to capture your customer data as an organizer.
Yeah, which isn't fun for everyone if
No.
that won't happen. So, and what about when it comes to communication? Is it something that we can use with our transactional emails, or is that something through online servers?
Um, Transactional emails or sequenced emails. We support sequenced emails, so you can absolutely use our our communication tool. Now I went into reports instead of how where it's sent from, but I guess we can talk a little bit about that as well. So, invitation, of course, you want to see the conversion between signups and invited. So we present that here for you. You can also see the how it's split between the different types of emails that you can send. You can see the email log, the content of the email,
Mhm.
you can see the bounce list if there was anyone who bounced, as well as unsubscribed. Sometimes a bounce might be a false positive, so we actually allow you to delete bounces as long as you guarantee that you're doing it in good faith. Um, but yeah, that's the way the communication reports work. And if I wanted to send an invitation, I can go into here and I can select which of my user groups I want to send it to. I could
Mhm.
schedule when I need to send it,
And
and
this would be through your servers then.
it's sent from our service. You could
Mhm.
use your own SMTP, but I wouldn't recommend that actually. And the reason for that is that you lose a little bit of visibility over bounces. If you're using a very new email domain that has not been warmed up and maybe you're trying to send to tens of thousands and your capacity is not enough for that,
Mhm.
sometimes customers come back to us and say we try to send 10,000 emails but our email server rejects it. That's something that we can't really do anything about. Yeah, and then you can sort of create the content, and then you can drag and drop and add in more content. And you can remove our logo here and so forth, and add in your own, for example. So then save it and use it as a template. So you reuse it as a template, create variations of it, schedule them, and of course it would then filter out people who has already signed up from one of your many lists that you might have.
All right. And when it comes to SMS, can we use our own mobile numbers, or it would be like a default mobile number?
If your country does not support spoofing, you
I don't know, maybe on
are
my.
yeah. So hang on, I'm on your SMS and hang on. I have a list of the countries here
So
supporting.
imagining you're using Twilio for this, right?
No, we're actually using AWS for this.
Okay.
So in many countries, at least around Europe, in Asia, I know the US do not support it. I could say I want to send this as sorry, Gareth. Uh, that would be
Mhm.
the sender name for this SMS, which obviously is quite nice for branding if you're a company. Um, but not all countries
Europe, Paris, Ireland.
uh,
Yeah, if you go down for M, is there
yeah,
M?
support sender IDs here, right? So you see here, there's quite a
Scroll down.
few that do, but there's also quite a few that don't.
Alright.
and the big one is,
Oh,
of
oh,
course,
wait, you missed
United
it.
States.
Go up.
So United States does not support.
Ah,
No.
what about Malta? Can we go up to M?
We can absolutely go into look at the Metropolitan of Malta.
Yes.
Yes, can.
Hey, for once we have something. Because usually we get messed up, but anyways, at least.
Absolutely. You can send using the sender name of Gareth to all of
Mm.
your attendees.
And support two-way SMS, that's not something that you support inside of
Oh no,
online,
no,
right?
no.
Mhm.
It's usually actually used only for reminders with magic links. Sometimes together with check-in that your table number is ABC, things like that. But in general, it's just those immediate notifications that you really want to make sure that it's not stuck in a firewall. That's typically how it works.
It makes sense. Okay, then. Um, uh, right now, I'm all out of questions here from last time and from other people who ask us daily about these online events. Guys, like I said, if you want to leave out a question, just put them inside of the StreamYard below, and we can see your name if you let StreamYard take your name, and we'll give you one free team seat, and we'll let Jonathan know on that, and we'll let you know on that.
Perfect.
Jonathan, is there something else that you want to show us, just in case, before we
No,
say
I think that's all I had for today as well. So thank you so much, Gareth. It was a pleasure as always.
awesome? I'm glad that we had this talk. So, guys, since it's Christmas, Christmas is coming down pretty soon. We're going to see if we're going to do the next stream next week. We'll let you know beforehand. And from there, just in case, I wish you all to have a happy holidays and happy New Year's, just in case. And I hope you are all safe and happy networking, I guess, since we're on live. Okay,
Thank you so
everyone.
much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jonathan.
Okay,
Take
okay.
care.